everybody, welcome to Two Non-Doctors. I'm Liz Mealy.
I'm Maria Shahada. We are stand-up comedians.
Stand-up comedians that are currently jobless because of the coronavirus.
We're finally going to be the doctors our mothers wanted us to be.
Is there anything that we don't know?
A lot, actually. We have a lot of questions. We have a lot of answers.
All of them wrong.
But we do have access to
Google.
And a vet.
Oh yeah, my mom's a vet. She knows some stuff. We have to do this
So
again.
every once in a while, we're going to invite her on. No, we don't. We're going to actually use this. Welcome to Two Non-Doctors.
Hi, welcome to Two Non-Doctors. I'm Liz Mealy.
I'm Maria Shahada.
And I don't feel great. You know, it's not that I don't feel great in like a traditional sense. I just feel like groggy and like someone's sitting on my head.
Okay. Okay.
Is that
someone's sitting on your head and suffocating you or giving you a headache or
I don't even feel like it's a headache. I feel like somebody put like a pillow over my head in like a funny way and like it's gone too far.
Okay. So
you're like, is this? Are you having a fight with your boyfriend? Like, what's happening right now?
Are you having a fight with your boyfriend?
No, he's outside. I literally kicked him out of the apartment. I was like, dude, I'm podcasting.
He's coronavirus right now.
He's getting coronavirus for this podcast so that I can have personal space to give bad medical advice.
It's worth it.
Yeah, no, he's a good person.
Is it just the lack of having anything to do and just being in your home for however many days we've done this straight, and this being really the only thing that either of us have done creatively satisfactory at all days?
Wow, that was depressing. Why'd you have to list it out like that?
Oh, I don't know. I'm so sorry. What have I
done? We have to rename our podcast, which is just like Vaguely Suicidal Podcast by Liz and Maria. I mean, I took NyQuil. I needed like drugs, so I took NyQuil, and that's some of it. But I took NyQuil a couple days ago, and it didn't make me feel this kind of groggy.
Oh, NyQuil fucks me up. Like, even if it's the non-drowsy kind, I am not a human when I take NyQuil.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I like about it is it like knocks me out, and like especially clearly when you're really sick and you can't like breathe out of your face. But like I don't feel as sick as I did before. It was more like I just needed a little help, and I think I got too much help, and now I feel like I'm in a cloud bubble.
Oh, dude, have a cigarette and enjoy that.
Now we're a podcast from the 70s. You know what you need when you feel sick is a cigarette. We here at Two Non-Doctors think you should be smoking a pack a day to really relieve the head tension that's been happening during your quarantine.
Have a shot of whiskey and get back to it.
Oh, fuck. How are you feeling?
Great. Fucking invincible, man.
Yeah? Is it because you're getting a lot done during your quarantine, or you feel...
I'm having the best time. I'm sorry. It only hits me every once in a while where I just start breakdown and crying. And but for the most part, I'm like, oh my God, this is all the time I've been dreaming about forever, and I'm getting it now, and I love it. I love it.
I'm glad that's your experience. I mean, it just shows what kind of opposites we are. I cried twice yesterday. Like, yeah. I was like doing the dishes. I was like, it was like a scene from like a relationship drama. I don't know if that's the right title for that, but like think like a marriage story. I was like doing the dishes alone, and I just started crying. Like I let my mind wander to like, this is my life now. I don't have kids.
Oh.
I don't have a husband. So it wasn't like, this is my life now. Why did I do this to myself? It was more like I was washing the dishes and my mind was like, you're never going to do comedy again, and you're never going to leave this tiny apartment, and this is your life now. And I just had a mini meltdown by myself.
Look, if you start getting into like who was I saying this to? It's like I'm fine, and then if I think like life as I've known it is never going to be the same again, and that's when I'm like, that's when you just deflate. But you just try not to think about it, really.
And don't get me wrong, I'm actually like kind of busy with all the crap I need to get done. A lot of it is like canceling crap and rescheduling crap. It's like not uplifting busy. It's more like crap busy, like panic busy. but I got a lot done yesterday, and then because I was in like kind of like a spazzy like place, I'm trying not to say spazzy because if we have any UK listeners, they don't like that
It's
word.
it's not that they don't like it. Well, yeah, they don't like it.
Well,
It's a really
I found out the
offensive
hard.
word.
Yeah, but it's never been offensive here, or it's not with the same connotation of offensive here, and I really tried to break the habit, but I my brain is foggy and I couldn't think of a better word, so I
What happened?
apologize.
You were doing a show. Was it what happened? Like, didn't somebody call you out from the audience?
No, they didn't call me out from the audience. I did an interview show and I had the word spaz. I changed it to I'm a mess, but I had the word spaz and like the whole interview, he was like, blah, blah, blah. And then the title of the article was Why Liz Mealy Thinks It's Okay to Call People a Spaz.
Oh
And
my
I was like,
god!
what? And I was like, first of all, I didn't know that like I mean I'm Jersey trash. Like let's just start there. Like it took me a long time to stop saying some of the words that people, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say retarded anymore, but I've made a real effort not to say it in a casual sense or in a flippant sense. Because
Side
people
note,
said
you're not.
so, but like because people brought it to the forefront, I stopped saying it and I tried to be thoughtful. And then I go to the UK, I do the Fringe Festival a couple of years ago. I'm doing these articles, and then that article comes out, and I'm like, that's what you pulled from that interview? Like, and I didn't
That's
call any I called myself a spaz. I basically was just and I changed it to being a mess. But
what
it's
was
just
what was the publication? Because that was very clearly like a headline just to get that person some views. What
I
was the
don't
publication?
even remember, but it was so like talk about like having the rug pulled out from under you. I was like, "What?" I was like, "Huh?" And then I had to talk to all my UK friends. They're like, "Yeah, that's like a really bad word." I was like, "It's I feel like I'm in the twilight zone because I can't even I couldn't even this is how dumb I am. I didn't even know where the word stemmed from. Like I didn't even think that it was kind of a connotation for somebody being mentally ill or not mentally ill, mentally challenged. You know what I mean? Like it was just, but it was like I think it's important to let people know and for culture to move forward and to not hurt people and language does matter. But that wasn't the way to show me. And at no
No.
point in the interview, he was just kind of like, oh, you feel like it's okay to say that. And I didn't even know what he was talking about. It was one of the first times that I really understood like the like different cultures and how different things have different importance in different countries and what have you. It was anyway. So as that word was
Yeah.
coming out of my mouth, I was like, wow, I've really made an effort not to say that word, but I actually haven't made so much of an effort that I've developed my vocabulary well enough to avoid that word. And then it just came out, and now here we are.
I tend to use a lot of alarming vocabulary, but not like that.
How
Like,
did
okay, so
you just throw me under the bus again? You're like, I would never say that. Um,
Liz.
Now we have to have a formal apology for Liz and who she is. Sorry,
um,
everybody.
we know we love you.
There's a part of me that's like I don't have a big vocabulary to begin with, and then I tell dick jokes for a living, and I just don't feel like I'm obligated to grow as a person. I'm trying. I feel like I do now, but you know,
Yeah,
it's an excuse.
it is sort of hard to like just break something that you've been doing your whole life, like brushing your teeth with hot water.
Yeah, yep,
Um,
cool. Knew that was gonna come back around. Uh,
yeah, no, because like Gianni, he had to he said his eyeball hurt. He was like, "Can you look at my left eye?" And I had to face the way he was facing to see which eye was his left eye, but I figured it out, and it was redder than the other eye. It wasn't terrible, but he was like, it just suddenly started really hurting. And I was like, oh, yeah, a blood vessel probably burst. And then I just left it because whatever. And he goes, burst? He's like, explain yourself now. Because he's very literal sometimes. And so I had to be like, no, 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 it's probably fine. And he was like, and so he made me Google, like, what does that mean? And like your eyeballs burst all the time. The blood vessels
your
in your
eye.
eyes.
I was gonna say your eyeballs burst all the time can't be true, but I think blood
No.
vessels bursting.
Like you could sneeze and they'll break. Like nothing. It's not a big deal, but he looked really unsettled. So I Googled, and he was like, "You just Googled one article." I'm like, "That is what I do.
Yeah.
This is why we're here."
As your only doctor in this country right now, because they're all busy, I would just take what I'm saying literally and take a nap.
I
My
know. I was like, Johnny, I'm literally paranoid about everything, and I think you're fine. So don't worry. Or you could get a second opinion. Good luck getting someone on the phone for that.
I do love that that's what it's going to come down to, where like you ask your girlfriend or boyfriend, like, hey, is this normal? And they give you their answer and they're like, I'm going for a second opinion. Robert, can you look at my eye? Like you just go to your neighbor or your roommate and you're just like, as also a non-doctor, what do you think? Is that your Google, by the way? Or is
That
that
was my
Johnny's
Google,
Google?
yeah. But that was my Google. But I mean, I'm sure I could come up with some other ones because
No, I would
um,
never pressure you. I love that this Google was from a place of love. This was a
subcon.
love Google.
I was like, don't worry, honey. It's just subconjunctival hemorrhage.
I'm gonna practice that in the mirror as I brush my teeth. Conjunctival.
Subconjunctival hemorrhage.
That's actually a great some conjunctival hemorrhage. Yeah, I think we're so close to getting a degree. It's crazy. Oh, well, my Google was do expiration dates really matter on over the counter drugs? So this is the thing is that I never would have even thought about it. But my roommate Carmen, my old roommate Carmen Lynch, who's also a very funny comedian, we lived together for almost 4 years, many years ago, and she would always borrow. Not, I guess you don't borrow, but she'd be like, "Hey, do you have Advil? Hey, do you have whatever?" And I would give it to her, and she would be like, "Liz, this is from 2001. Like, why? What?" And I
Tough
wouldn't think.
year.
Yeah, like truly. And I was like, hey, this is like fine wine. I don't understand why you're being angry. But I have never looked at the expirations of drugs until she brought that up to me. And then I sometimes get curious, especially because this is what makes me angry is like, okay, you get a cold, you buy yourself the NyQuil, I always get the pill form. I don't like drinking NyQuil. So you get the capsules, you get the NyQuil, DayQuil. It's never, I always feel like it's too much DayQuil and not enough NyQuil. So then you have like 90 packets of DayQuil. So I just feel like I always have too much of a certain drug. And
That's how I feel like with a mix of like candy flavors. I eat all the cherry and then I have too much orange and lemon.
yeah, and you're like, okay, I'll save this for a day that I'm ready to fucking have vitamin C and a citrus blast, but I'm not ready right now. So it's that kind of thing. And so it builds up. I have a little drawer in my end table of all my drugs. And then whenever I get sick again or I have a headache or whatever, I just take the drugs and I don't think anything of it until Carmen was like, dude, all your drugs are expired. And not just like a year expired, like 10 to 15 years expired. And even after she told me that, I still don't throw them out. And so basically, I felt sick. I went to go look at my drugs and I saw they were only a year expired, which is actually really good for me. And I Googled, does it really matter? And it doesn't. It doesn't. Nothing bad's going to happen to you. Just the strength of the drug becomes less and less. So it's just like kind of that law of half-life. So, if it's at maximum potency and that's what makes you feel better, I think each year that goes by, it just becomes less and less potent. But really, it's not like an extreme less potent. It isn't like, if it expires in 2019, it's like 10% less effective. And then by 2025, it's like taking a sugar pill.
So
Like it's
you're handing her some Advil and you're basically like, here, you're going to need to take 17 of these.
exactly. Could you imagine?
Or
You'd be like, I'm starting to do like weird math where I'm like, okay, if this expired in 2001 and you are 6 feet tall and you are in a good health, you'll need to take 45 of these while doing a handstand. That's just my professional opinion. So honestly, like everything I Googled was like, it's truly not a big deal. All that really happens is they're just kind of less effective. And my parents kind of told me that. So I think we always had expired drugs in our cabinet. And I think I knew that like subconsciously, but I don't think I ever thought anything of it. And it was only until my friend Carmen kind of made me feel bad that she was like, "Are you trying to murder me?" And I was like, "You don't take expired drugs and then your body falls apart. It's like you take expired drugs and they just don't work as well."
Although knowing Carmen, she would come out with a video where she took this expired drugs and then she would like choke and like die and it would be all your
Yeah, she's
fault.
so
She's really
funny.
dark.
Yeah, she's so dark and she's so funny. If we could do a shout out, since we're all comedians without
Oh
jobs,
God, watch
um,
Carmen's videos.
Carmen Lynch is the funniest, weirdest, silliest person. I mean, she's been on every single late show in the US. She has an album out, but also we used to do, when we did live together, we did a web series called Apartment C3. And my favorite thing was I was kind of the straight man, and she wanted to be as weird and silly as possible. And it kind of opened her up for the silly videos she makes now. But you should look at our web series Apartment C3. But also, if you follow
I
her on,
love how you subtly took credit for her silliness.
no, oh yeah, I guess I did. But no, she's naturally silly, but when we would write them together, she was just like, "Can you make me silly?" And then I would be the
Genuine
straight man to accentuate her silliness.
is Apartment C3 still on YouTube? Because that is genuinely one of my favorite things to watch. It's so
What?
much fun.
Why, thank you. And what a great question. It is still on YouTube. Yeah, Apartment C3, full word Apartment C3. But yeah, you should check out Carmen Lynch, and she's the inspiration for this Google, because she's like a little voice in my head that is always just like, "You're trying to poison everyone with these expired drugs." And now I can tell her with full confidence she's wrong. We should
Uh,
get to let's get personal. I'm going to ask this
yes.
question to you because I feel slightly insecure.
Okay.
And I'm going to actually find out if my insecurities are valid. How often do you put on lotion?
Almost never. It's like so like
That was a real pivot.
I. It's just one of those things you have around and you never actually use. For me,
Well, as a woman, it's mandatory. Like you have to
it
have at least 3 of them in your apartment.
yeah, and it's just like lotion just for show. It's like well, if you wanted some lotion, it's there, but like you never actually use it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think it was the time thing because I was just really like I don't know. I really don't know what my aversion to it. They make it easy to use. It's in a pump. It's not like it's hard. Or you dip your fingers in that tub, and that's fun.
I had really bad eczema as a kid, but especially as a teenager, and I was super uncomfortable. And so again, I googled, what am I supposed to do when you have eczema or dry skin? And they said you should put lotion on as soon as you get out of the shower. So you dry off, your skin is still a little moist, and you should put lotion on. So I started doing it when I was like 14 or 15, and it's just a habit I've never broken. So I get out of the shower, lotion head to toe, and then my hands. And there's something about eczema, you just naturally have dry skin. So I'm always putting lotion on my hands after I wash my hands. So do you feel like you've started to put more lotion on your hands at least because we're washing our hands more, or still no?
I think about it more, but I don't actually do it.
Okay, lotion has been more to the forefront of your mind. I only go to my parents' place for the holidays. My dad makes sure there's lotion in the bathroom for me because it's like, it's the first thing I ask for. I'm like, "Dad, we need lotion." He's like, "I didn't know. It's an emergency and I'll get some." And it's like, and he never gets the ones I want. But at this point, it's just making sure I don't get to a place that I'm like super itchy. But if I go more than
Yeah,
like 3 days, like, again, you're a little darker than me and I'm very pale, but I can start to see myself. Of course, I would never use the word ashy because I don't know if that applies to white people, but
of course it does. You could
th-
like if you scratched your skin and it got like that, dry like ashiness. That's ashy. What kind of lotion do you go for?
so I have 2 types of lotion. I do have the like truly has nothing in it, smells like nothing, this is truly just a feel better kind of lotion, like almost medical in the sense that like this is purely to absorb into your skin, doesn't hopefully doesn't harm the pH balance of your skin, and is just so you feel better. But then what I actually put on every day after I shower is this Trader Joe's coconut, like, shea butteriness. Like it's really thick and it smells like coconuts, and it clearly has become my scent. I'm not a perfume person. Is it like superior? Is it like better for you or whatever? I don't think so, but it hasn't seemed to irritate my skin, and it smells nice and it does the job. So it's become my go-to lotion. And
Okay.
I find it so funny that it's just Trader Joe's brand coconut lotion.
I feel like I have to drink more water because all I drink is coffee, and it used to be coffee and alcohol, but like all I drink is like stuff that dehydrates me all day. And I even said like 2 days ago, I am going to make it a point to drink 8 glasses of water, and I think I had a glass and a half
We
that
should
day.
have
I'm like so bad about drinking water, and it's all I need to do. I think water will solve like 80% of our issues.
I do think that's true, and I've gone through like not water cleanses, I don't think that's the right word, but like almost water competitions. We should have a water competition. I mean, the
Um,
I will
what
say,
it,
I like how you're like no, but also what does that mean? Um, I heard all of that in your silence. You're like no, but also explain yourself.
well, my first image was like two people peeing,
Well, that's
and
yeah, sorry. I will be perfectly honest. I've done it this a couple of times where for a solid month I'm only allowed to drink water. I can't have tea, I can't have coffee, I can't have anything, can't have soda. You can only drink water and that's your only option. And then you have to drink you're supposed to drink half your ounces. Um you're supposed to drink your body weight. Crap. How do I say this not like a moron? Half your body weight in ounces. So let's say you weigh 100 pounds, you have to drink 50 ounces of water. So I was drinking, I don't want to say my ounces because I don't want to say my weight because I am
so
that
not
girly.
your body weight in ounces divided by two. It's whatever you weigh divided by two, and then just that's the ounces.
Exactly.
Very
Thank you for
confusing.
clarifying that.
Well,
Um, and then I did simple math because my brain is broken. But basically my biggest issue with doing these kind of water competitions with myself is that I already have to pee a lot, and then once I start drinking a crap ton of water it almost feels like I live on a toilet.
that's why
So
I can't do it. I can't like I'm always running to the bathroom. But apparently like your body gets more used to all the water you take in, and you pee less
they say
eventually.
that I've never been on the other side of that. They say it.
Okay.
I've never been on the other side, but I would be open to trying, and especially because we do live indoors now and a bathroom is very close at all times, always. Are
This is
we
the thing about the lotion,
okay?
is that I'm now on a pretty routine schedule. Like I have the time to lotion myself, and have like I have like I have the time to have better eating habits. I have the time to like take care of myself because I'm not in some hotel room somewhere for comedy, or you know what I mean? Like I'm not traveling, and
Yeah.
it's just easier to have a routine. So like I have the luxury of time, and that is why I use lotion.
But as soon as I leave the house again, this habit is out the door.
It's going to be the first one gone.
I will
Putting
say
my
that,
bra back on and
yeah.
never going to lotion up again.
I think that's a really good goal for you. I'm just gonna put that out there. I think lotioning every day is a great goal for you. I also think more water. I'm down for a water competition if any of our fans want to.
How how do we measure that?
I mean, I have a Fitbit, so you can measure your water in a Fitbit, or you just start like a log. So every time you have a glass of water, or you get like those big bottles that tell you how many ounces, and you just kind of track it. I mean, it's mostly an emotional tracking. I love writing stuff down. I love logging stuff. I love visually looking at like growth or charts. I don't know what that is, but my mom's
Well,
very much the same way.
I'm the same way. You spent like 2 hours with me at a paper store while I looked for something that I could log my earnings in, and as soon as I bought something,
We stopped earning.
I stopped earning. I literally had nothing to enter into it, and I was like, I did this to myself. I did this to
You
the whole world.
Yeah, you really did. You bought a discount 7-pound calendar
Has a bird on it.
that has a bird on it that you purchased solely to log your earnings, to be
Yes.
more responsible, and then
Literally the next
the
day.
global economy collapsed and no one's making money, and I do blame you. I'm glad
Well,
everybody has somebody to blame.
that's fair.
It's very
Um,
fair.
so, but no, but I love logging shit like that too. And, and if you want to go one further, we could take a picture of our urine to see whose is
Nope,
the lightest.
nope, 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 nope. You took it too far. We are
Oh,
not
God
gonna.
damn
We
it.
are
I
not
want
gonna
to
be a
do that.
blog that takes pictures of fucking urine to see if who has clear and copious pee. I'm not
Okay.
doing it. I'm not gonna be a part of that. Um, that literally feels like a virtual urine sample that we just started. Jesus. Could you imagine people start sending in their pee and we're like, ooh, you need more
Please don't do
vitamins.
that.
I don't know what
Yeah.
vitamins you need. Also, I think you're pregnant. Okay, well, all right, we should get into our topic.
Let's do it.
Okay, I've always thought about this, and I feel like we're two people that should have strong knowledge of it. Can you get high from comedy?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Have you felt it?
No, here's the thing. I feel like because everyone's like, I need comedy like a drug. And I have never once, I feel so left out when I talk to my comedian friends about how they feel about doing comedy. It's like, I don't know if I could not get on stage what do I do if I can't get on stage? What do I do? You know, and I'm
Is
like,
that is that my voice?
no, that's every comedian
Okay.
ever's voice, but
Okay.
you're in there. It's just a
Yeah.
mix.
Yeah. Cool. Cool.
What do
Cool.
I do? What do I do if I can't do comedy? Oh God, what do I do?
Cool.
And
Cool.
I've never experienced that that fear that like, oh God, what if I can't get this stage time? I was on a roll with stage time because I was earning. So it's like for me, it was just like, I mean, it's fun to do. I love doing comedy, but I don't have that like I'm addicted to it. I need it. I need that adrenaline. I don't have that.
Yeah, I mean, you're also very much coupled with anxiety. Not to say that I don't have anxiety with certain performances or working on new stuff or certain situations, but I never related. You avoid stand up sometimes because of how much anxiety it causes you.
I will say, I'm going to interrupt you there. I will
Okay.
say for years I was like that, but in the past couple of years, that dread that I felt before like having shows hanging over my head, and it was dread. It wasn't even nerves. It was just absolute dread. Like I don't want to do this. Had gone away in the past couple of years, and I think it's because I got to a place in comedy where I liked my set better, and I like, you know, like I was starting to enjoy it the way like other people did. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm starting to see how it's like, oh, I want to get on stage. I can't wait to try this joke. But but it still wasn't an addiction. And that's what I don't understand from other comedians.
I it's my favorite part of my day. I'm not saying there's not shows I don't look forward to. I'm not saying there's not shows, especially because of how the audience is reacting to a previous comic, or just me thinking an audience might not like me, or there's a whole bunch of reasons that dread or fear or not wanting to go up might factor into how I feel leading up to a gig, whether it's months, weeks, or even moments before I go on stage. But I would say a good 90% of the time, it's my favorite part of my day. I look forward to it. I'm excited about it. It fixes a bad day. Honestly, not even just performing, if I can be really honest, because I do stand up so much and because it's so habitual, it's really trying new stuff and working on new stuff that I get a real high from.
Yeah.
A joke that works and does well, but it has always worked and done well, or it's already polished and formatted and it just is, it's doing its job and there's no extra um, additives to it. I like it. It feels good. I'm happy, but I don't get high from it. But like new material nights, working out new lines in a joke that's like 80% done, riffing something, talking to somebody in the audience and having a unique way it works into my material, bringing back old stuff and adding to it, anything that's new and fresh and I don't know how it's going to end, that's when I get high. It's the
Yep. A risk.
yeah, and the
Okay.
unknown. And what's weird about it is, you know me, I hate the unknown. I everything that's happening now, everything that happens, like I map out my day. I have take a shower on my to-do list. I map out my day. And I still map out my sets, but even I'm constantly writing new jokes and I'm constantly trying out new lines and I'm always trying to push myself and challenge myself. And I think it's because that's what gets me high and that's what excites me and that's what makes me feel like I'm doing something.
It's sort of like, you know how your sexual fantasies are like the opposite of who you are in real life. Like they always say, if you want to be tied up and you know, submissive in bed, it's because you're so controlling in your real life that you want the kind of break from that. Maybe stand up is that break where it's like where you can let go and risk and but you're all but it's all still while you're in control,
It's a
you know?
controlled risk in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because
Because
this is a comedy club. This is where you tell jokes. It's not like I'm like standing up on a subway platform being like, hey, everybody give it up for Maria Shahada. She
not
has
yet
some
anyway.
jokes. Yeah, no, we're close.
We're like, we can't wait for the day we could go on a subway and start telling jokes. Like,
Oh, man, I'm telling you, if you just give me your subway fare, I'll tell you some jokes.
so that must be why like the Zoom shows like have no appeal to you, because it's no risk like in the room, because I really feel like there's an energy in the room that a comedian, if they're good and they're in tune enough, they can play off of, that you're just not going to get in a Zoom show.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a really valid point. I've been feeling like an old man with all the fans suggesting I do Zoom shows, and it's like, first of all, that sounds so unfun, but like B, what am I learning from it? What am I getting from it? Like I if it's just to tell my jokes, and that's been the hardest part. I've actually kind of started to realize when I was, because I was doing a lot more headlining spots, and I was doing an hour, maybe 2 to 4 times a week, and then doing little 10 to 15-minute spots in the city. And I started to realize, while I love connecting with the audience, having my own fans, running my hour, it's really the new jokes in the hour and then finding different places for it and adding stuff to it and the little new stuff growing in the hour. That was the most exciting part of me doing an hour. And I was happier doing my 10 to 15-minute sets in the city where I could play around more. I felt less of a pressure because it's not fans paying X amount of money to see a polished hour. It's now people paying less money to see a bunch of comics kind of dick around. I'm not saying I don't enjoy the polished shows. I'm not saying it's not its own level of fun, but if I'm being very honest, the best I feel in any given week is I planned out some new jokes, I did them, some part of it worked. They don't even have to fully kill, just some part of it worked, and now I get to go home and figure out how to make the rest of it work.
But that all contributes to the adrenaline rush you get when you which is what you're missing right now. Is it the adrenaline rush?
I guess so. I don't feel like I don't think people, I think people try to say like it's the same as like bungee jumping or BMX riding off a ramp or something. Like I don't like sometimes my whole body gets hot, but that's because something's going horribly wrong. Like you're not on stage in this weird fight or flight physical moment or mental moment. It's more like I don't know how to describe it. It's more like I'm not in my head anymore. As somebody that lives 100% in their head, you don't start crying while doing dishes because you're in the moment. You know what
You
I
know
mean?
what? I have an ex that like he was at his best when he was on stage. Because it's like
Oh, yeah.
he got like a nice like vacation from who he was as a person, and like
But
he
yeah.
yeah. Go ahead.
I 100% relate. I think I'm the best version of myself on stage. If I'm being really honest, you've heard this, my fear with the podcast is I'm clunky. Like I make mistakes, I say words wrong because I'm dyslexic. I have a terrible vocabulary. I stutter a lot. I have trouble finding the right word. I say too many words to get to a valid point. My jokes aren't like that. My jokes are polished because I spent 3 months practicing them and polishing them and finding the exact word and figuring out how this wording bounces off the audience. And my polished jokes are who I wish I was 3 months ago. And
Yeah.
I think and I've done tons of podcasts. I mean, I host my own mental illness podcast with the Jed Foundation. I've been a guest on countless podcasts. I'm not saying I don't have moments
There's
where
time to plug at the end. My
fuck
God.
off, I'll kill you. Um, both of us have been countless guests. We are able to speak on our feet and be in the moment. I'm also very often in the moment on stage as well. But this free form and showing people exactly the fact that my brain actually does work a lot slower, and you're watching a polished version of Liz on stage, and this is a very tired, sick, scared version of Liz off stage. And this is what friends get. Friends get this where I go, hey, is that a real word?
Yeah.
How do you spell that? Like my boyfriend's probably going to murder me because every 10 minutes I go, how do you spell? How do you spell?
I
How do
know
you spell?
I've been that person to you before. I like it. It makes me feel useful. It makes me feel smart. I feel like I like it.
Thank you.
And then you're like, never mind, I got it. And it's like, oh.
So really the question is, do you get a high off helping your friends spell basic words? And do you miss me? That's really what this whole episode is about. Missing the fact that I make you feel like a professor. I make you feel like a genius professor that has a degree.
Wow, I mean, like for somebody who isn't polished, you're really good at just putting words into my mouth.
I always did find how we approached comedy and our need for comedy was always very different. So my goals were always to be a comic that did an hour, traveled around performing their hour, creating new hours, being a live performer. And I remember very early into our friendship, you're like, no, I don't want that. And it
Yeah.
blew my goddamn mind. I thought every comedian had the same goals. And you were one of the first people. First of all, not even like, it's not like you were like, I'm doing this to be famous. It was like, you are still a hardworking comedian that worked on polishing their jokes. Like, we're still the same type of comic in the sense that we care about our jokes and making them strong and making them funny and making them the best joke that they can be. But I was just kind of shocked that somebody that worked as hard as you did, that was as funny as you were, didn't have the same old school 1995 comedy goals that I had, which was just to be a performing comic that did their hour every night.
Yeah, that sounds like my hell, but like it's just no, because I know some comics who are like, like I feel most at home at a comedy club, like either in the back or on stage or whatever. Like some people just want to spend their lives, like wouldn't mind at least, if not absolutely want to spend their lives touring and going around to comedy clubs and just headlining like that. Comedy has always been like one medium among many of my getting my voice across. So like for me it was just a means to do that, and comedy is one of the easiest art forms because you can just it's you know what it's not one of the easiest art forms. It is one of the most accessible art
Yeah.
forms that is the hardest to master.
Master. Yeah. Well, that
It's the
is,
one that will take you 20 to 30 years to master, but anyone can fucking start.
yes, I will. To me, I've seemed to always be very drawn to easy to start, independent, don't need anybody type outlets. So as a runner, like, yes, this quarantine sucks. My gym isn't open, but you put on some shoes, you go for a run in a park, and nobody can really stop you. It's great for social distancing, but I still have that outlet, um, mental and physical outlet. And comedy, up until this moment, felt so accessible that I get messages all the time that are like, hey, I want to do stand up, what do I do? And it
Send
sounds,
them to me. I will online coach you.
yeah,
I'm a
that is
comedy
true.
coach.
Yeah,
I don't
Maria,
know
I
why you're
mean,
not doing that.
that is very smart. I mean, Maria, I when you started telling me that you were helping people with comedy, I was like, that's so smart. I think I've been using you. I think I owe you so much money. I've been using you for years. But you are so intuitive, like, both for what your own voice is, but like the fact that you're even a good friend is because you know my voice. Like, we've just discussed it before. Like, I stopped using emojis and you're like, Liz is depressed. We got to do
Yeah.
something about it. But I think you can see that in people's joke structures. And I think that's why we both are drawn to comedy, which is like, here's the purest form of expressing myself, but I also can tell a lot about other people through how they express their self. I mean, I think what's really been hard lately is watching other people do stand up, being like, oh, that's a really interesting premise, or I really enjoy where they're going with that. And then I hear their punchline and I go, oh, can I help you? Please let me help
Oh yeah, it's
you.
so disappointing when there's such a good premise and you're like, ooh, original premise, where's this going? And then they disappoint. But the thing is I used to, when I first started, I used to feel like that person.
I don't know. For me, I don't think I'm worried about the addictive nature of stand up. I'm worried about, um, I mean, I did say I was worried about the addictive nature in a previous episode, and I am. I am worried about not getting on stage and what that means for my mental health. But I worry about not having that ability to bounce ideas back and polish them. And I know I can polish them on my own or through my friends, but that's not why I got into stand up. It is the high of polishing them off strangers in the moment, not knowing how it's going to go, and just getting hit with that wave of laughter. Like, that wave of laughter is the best part. And you don't get a wave of laughter on Zoom, everybody.
You sure don't get. There's nothing on a podcast unless is there, maybe there's a sound effect. I can, whenever you do
Don't you
have something
patronize me.
But
We make each other laugh, and I think that's why you are a good podcast partner. That's why we became friends. I mean, this all kind of stemmed from the fact that half our friendship has been from different areas for the last over 10 years. And my favorite would be when I would make you laugh. We would be like Skyping or something, and I'd make you laugh and you would fall out of screen. And I was just like, I did it! I killed Maria!
It is always, you have those friends who are, it's like a win when you make them like fucking laugh. Like, not just like the regular laugh, but that like, like Johnny has a like top tier laugh that just, I'm like, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. What do we get? Yeah, and I think that's probably what drew us to comedy in the first place. Is like, I know I was definitely insecure most of my life. I still have a lot of insecurities. And when everything was bad, making my parents laugh, making my siblings laugh, making my friends laugh, it just kind of was this equalizer. Like, everything sucks, I'm unhappy, everybody else around me seems unhappy. And then this silly idea, this silly joke would hit and people would laugh, and you would have this like 1 to 3 minute break from reality. And I do think that's why people don't want us to quit, and people are kind of starving for content right now, is we're inundated with like coronavirus updates and economy updates, and there's a bleakness to the uncertainty and the fear behind this virus, and everybody's like, don't leave me alone with this virus, don't leave me alone with these updates, please.
Well, yeah,
be
it's like
silly.
when you isolate, it's like we have this portal to tell you how everybody else is feeling right now. It's like, why wouldn't you want that? Podcasts have saved me, like just listening to other comedians' podcasts and just knowing what they're thinking and feeling, and that we feel the same. And it's like, it's really nice. You feel less lonely. So maybe we should ask our listeners, have we helped you feel less lonely?
Yeah, I like that. I would love to know if you guys feel like you're pulled away from something that, like, comedy is our kind of outlet in addiction. What is your outlet in addiction that you don't have access to because of the coronavirus? Is podcasting helping you get through that? I listen to podcasts when I clean.
There sure is a lot of new people podcasting.
Yeah,
so you started one.
Okay, we want to hear from you. Please email us. We would love to know your lotion story.
No, we don't.
We
don't
do.
say that.
I don't know where you put it.
Consider guys' lotion stories.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a really valid point. Don't tell us your lotion stories. I just realized that guys all have very lotiony penises.
Don't tell us your lotion stories.
Okay, don't tell us your lotion stories. Yeah, I don't know. Email us. We'll get back to you. We have a lot of free time. You can email us.
Patreon.
We have a Patreon. Help us out. We're trying to figure out what our lives are without stand-up, clearly. So you can give to our Patreon. It'll be listed everywhere, especially I think it's on our Instagram right now. So you can follow us on Instagram at 2 non-doctors. That's the number 2, non, and then DRS. And then you can email us at 2 non-doctors, but the full word, DOCTORS at gmail.com. I shouldn't have spelled that. I got really scared.
You did great.
Thank you. But thank you for listening. We appreciate you. More episodes soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.